Hello everybody, my name is Ratnus, and in today's video I'm going to answer a couple of very common questions. What should I do with my Spark of Ingenuity, or Sparks of Ingenuity? What's the point of work orders? And is crafting important for raiders, / is there anything that I can not work order, or do I need to know a crafter for? And the answer to that question in particular is yes, it's very valuable to either be or know or have in your guild a good crafter to make full use of the Spark of Ingenuity. So let's go down exactly how this works. So Sparks of Ingenuity come from a quest line. You'll get your first one from a quest line after you finish the campaign, basically. You can get it on your alts as well, but in order to get it on your alts, you need to finish the Thaldraszus zone campaign, which on my alts that I've been leveling, I've been choosing Thaldraszus and just going and making sure I do all the quests there so that I can get my Spark of Ingenuity. Hopefully this is an oversight and something that Blizzard fixes, because otherwise adventure mode is kind of not really... That's going to be very weird for people realizing that they still have to then go back and quest afterwards if they didn't choose to go and do the Thaldraszus zone quests, but there's a chance they won't fix this or they won't fix it promptly, so if you are wondering where to get your Spark on alts, that's how that works. And then there will be future Sparks that unlock on a time-gated system. You'll get one Spark on December 13th for NA, and then another one every 2 weeks after that, until such a time as 5 Sparks have been unleashed. At that time, then there will be like unlimited Sparks available through some rare drop system, but effectively unlimited for if you want to be able to grind it out. Now, what do Sparks do? Well, they're in these profession recipes that require, or that are itemable 384. Sounds pretty cool. 384, interesting enough, but not something that will survive into the Mythic raid where we can get items all the way up to, well, 424, 430 for the super rare Razageth bow and stuff. But still potentially sounds good early, right? Wrong. You can also upgrade these further by infusing them with power. Infusing these items with power means using a concentrated primal infusion or a primal infusion on them. Primal infusions come from heroic content, and concentrated primal infusions come from mythic content, and you basically combine a bunch of these things that drop from either mythic bosses, plus 16 keys, or some level of PvP. To make the concentrated one, you combine those with a bunch of primal chaos, or to make the regular one, you combine stuff that drops from like 11 or higher keys, heroic bosses, and some lower level of PvP with a bunch of primal chaos to make just a regular primal infusion. The concentrated primal infusions, in theory, will be able to take your item all the way up to item level 418, which is rather high. It's the kind of item that you could be keeping for quite a while, so that is why the Spark system is valuable and important for raiders. But a lot of caveats towards how you can actually get this done. So you may think, okay, cool, I'll just use the work order system to do that. The thing is that these recipes are pretty rare. Some of them, like you can see I've got these engineer goggle ones ready, which engineer goggles are actually a bit of a weird edge case because they actually require engineering to use. None of the other ones do, as far as I can tell. It's just the engineer goggles that's kind of like a legacy thing. But if you look at some of the things I don't have, right, these cuffs don't require engineering to use that I haven't learned how to do. But I haven't learned that recipe because you need to specialize a certain way to get it. And that's true for almost all of these Spark recipes, is that they require specialization into your tech tree to be able to actually get the right stuff. And some of them, it's fairly intensive. If you're a blacksmith and you want to specialize in making something, it's like you have to specialize in a specific part of the body and then into like a specific armor slot to get all the way down there. Which means that there's going to be a pretty low supply of crafters that are fully invested into any one given thing. And the problem with the way the work order system works is that you can't guarantee that somebody is going to have the right, is going to craft it to high quality. Because as I said, those concentrated primal infusions, they can bring an item up to 418, but they don't guarantee it. If the person crafts the recipe at quality 1, it will be 408. If they craft it at quality 5, it'll be 418. So it's very valuable to be able to get them to craft it at high level, but that requires a lot more investment than being able to just craft it at low level. So if you were to go in here and you were trying to make yourself, let's say, a plate helmet, right? A primal molten helm, you can see there are a couple different options here for different things you could create. This Infurious Helm of Vengeance, another cool thing that exists as well that you could make. two different recipes, right? Two blacksmithing recipes, but you could try and create either of these things, right? You need to provide the sparks and the chaos, which I have those pieces, right? A primal molten ally, and then you could put in your concentrated primal infusion or your primal infusion, but those are raising the crafting difficulty even higher. So the chances now somebody needs like 410 total skill effectively in order to be able to craft this without having it fail. And the thing is, if you do this as a public order, you cannot set a minimum quality. If you do this as a guild order, a personal order, though, it's much nicer because then you can specify a minimum quality. And you can say, okay, only craft this, only take this craft order if you can guarantee quality 5. That being said, you may not actually wish to use this because you might want to use a crafter that you know that isn't guaranteed to get a high craft, but has enough inspiration that they will be able to get a quality 5 if they're inspired, and then you can use the recrafting order system, in which you place an item and you say, okay, I want to recraft this to a higher quality, right? And you could just keep trying until they get inspired on one of their crafts. And that is something that you can do that it won't cost you extra primal infusions, I don't think. I think it just will cost you extra, molten alloy and stuff each time you attempt this. So that is a path forward to this, but this again relies on the crafter being either yourself or someone that you know and are doing this transaction with personally, because again, if you're taking the public order route to do this, first of all, you can't even do a public recrafting order. Recrafting orders are only for guild and personal, but if you're doing a public order, you will almost certainly get a quality 1 outcome, or not almost certainly, but very likely get yourself a quality 1, 2, or 3 outcome, and that means you're losing out on item levels. So that is how this works. A couple other factors to talk about here. First of all, two-handed weapons cost 2 sparks. Everything else costs 1 spark. RIP Fury Warriors. Second of all, there's these things called embellishments. There are actually several different embellishments that are available here. So for instance, you can see on this helmet, you could place armor spikes, potion absorption inhibitors, so extra duration of Dragon Isle potions, thick spikes, which give you small damage proc when you take damage, I think. When above 90% health, gain mastery. When you heal, you sometimes fire a healing dart, and then this one, which is increased duration of well-fed, and they now persist through death, which is nice flavor, but obviously is not power, so shouldn't be used for a serious mythic raider. Adding these embellishment further increases the difficulty of the recipe by less if you give the 3rd quality embellishment, but still does further increase the difficulty of the recipe and therefore make it harder to hit a high result. And it does also add the quality of unique equipped embellished 2. You can only have 2 items that are tagged as embellished. Some items come pre-embellished, like this Infurious Helm of Vengeance. It doesn't have the option to put an embellishment on it because it's coming with an embellishment already applied, right? This enemies who damage you will sometimes take physical damage over time. That is basically an embellishment that is baked in to the item. So that's how the embellishment system works. You'll get to choose 2 items to embellish of your crafted items, but it does raise the difficulty of things that you want to embellish, and there are some different ones in different slots. For instance, on weapons, you can get stuff like these extra attacks deal extra physical damage, right? Physical attacks sometimes deal extra physical damage, which is obviously not something you can get on the helmet, but is something that you can embellish your weapon with. So figuring out which of these is going to be this, that kind of stuff, not something that this video is about, but is something that will be important, and understanding how the crafting order system interacts with this is absolutely pretty valuable as well. That means finding a crafter on server or in your guild that's capable of making the item that you specifically want. Especially if it's in the first few weeks, you're going to require a crafter that has basically decided, like, yeah, I'm going to be able to make the boots, right? Or I'm going to be able to make the axes, something like that. Because otherwise you're probably looking at, if they just kind of do a generalist but a bunch of knowledge thing, maybe you're going to get a 412 or something. But if you want a 418, especially if you want a 418 like weapon, that's quite a bit of extra value, then you're probably looking at somebody who's put all of their points into the exact right things to just optimize that one specific craft. So that is how the situation is on the crafted gear, the Sparks of Ingenuity and stuff. Again, the way that I guess one thing that I didn't mention about how the recrafting order works, you can use the recrafting order to turn an item that was crafted without a primal infusion or a concentrated primal infusion into one that was crafted with those things. So say I wanted to make myself an unstable Frostfire belt this week, before the raid comes out. I just want to make one of these things, get it crafted up for me. You know, I could go in here, get these reagents, or do a guild order or a personal order. I guess I would need to get the Frosty Soul and the Fiery Soul either way, because when you do a guild order or a personal order, you can actually have the crafter provide the BOE stuff, but you always have to provide the BOP stuff, including the Sparks and the Primal Chaos. If you do a public order, you always have to provide everything. But you could then say, all right, I'm going to make one of these at 382, and then down the line, I'm going to recraft it. And if you recraft it, you actually can choose different optional reagents, and you could be like, okay, this time we're going to recraft it, and we're going to recraft it with the concentrated primal infusion, and that's going to bring it all the way up to item level 408 to 418. So you can get your spark gear crafted now. You can get it crafted with your primal infusion when you get a regular primal infusion before you get a concentrated one. It's worth noting, I mentioned that primal infusions come from doing heroic content. Concentrated primal infusions come from doing mythic content. But that's actually not the whole truth. There is another source of primal infusions, and that is the end of the renown tracks. Every renown track ends with a primal infusion that you can use to take items up to, I guess it's 395 to 405 on that one. So if you're not going to be doing any heroic, content, no keys, 11 higher, you can still eventually get yourself one of these by just filling out your renown track of whichever faction you want. They all have a primal infusion, I think at 25. Let's see where Valdrakken is, because Valdrakken goes a little over 25. Okay, Valdrakken, you get it at 30, but every other one you get it at 25. The end of the renown track, right? You'll get one primal infusion for each of those. Anyways, hope this video has helped clear some things up. If you're interested in looking through all the items that can be created with Sparks of Ingenuity, there's two different ways. I'm getting challenged to a duel. There's two different ways of doing that. One of them is to go to the crafting order place and just look through. You can just search and see all the things that are high item level. See how that works? Because this is just like a catalog of everything that could be crafted. The other way to do this is to go to Wowhead and look at the items that Spark of Ingenuity is a reagent for, and you can kind of see through here. You can see which of them's like, okay, this one, it doesn't have spot for an embellishment, whereas these battle-ready binoculars also don't have a spot for an embellishment, right? They just have a spot for these other things. And then this Choker of Shielding. Oh, a cool jewel crafting necklace. Let's see, what does that one have? It has spots for, so it'll have these plus things that mean there's just reagents that can have different levels of quality, right? You can either have a 1, 2, or 3 diamond or harmony and stuff. But then you get to here and it's like, okay, customize with secondary stats, right? The Chronocloth leggings. Similarly, these ones also can't be embellished because they're part of a set bonus instead. That's what they are, is they're part of this woven Chronocloth thing. That has a 2 set on it, and there's a lot of different stuff that basically can get made here. And then here's like just the default Flame Touch chain, and that one should have an add embellishment tag to it as well. Anyways, it's an extremely convoluted system. The TLDR of it, though, is where you commit your sparks is a pretty permanent decision. You can recraft the item to a higher item level, but you can't move your spark to a different piece once you've crafted something with it. You can't like scrap it and get your spark back. So think carefully about how you want to spend them, and maybe make friends with a crafter. Maybe start looking around for one on your server. It's a lot of work potentially to get yourself in a spot to be able to do this by the time the raid comes out for whatever item you want. But starting now, you can maybe look for a person that can make you, say, that weapon. I think making like a 418 weapon for yourself on the first day of the raid would be really powerful. Obviously, you'd need to farm enough plus 16 or higher keys to get yourself the concentrated primal infusion early, but still, that would be an extremely big reward to have going into raid. Anyways, video's rambled on a little bit. Hope it's helped. Hope it's cleared some things up and not just left you with more questions. If it has, ask them in the comments below, or I will probably forget to read them and then come ask me in my stream about them, and I will answer them. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.